I read 120 books in 2023. Here's what I learned. Look, guys, there are so many books out there that you can read to choose from, right? Thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of books out there in the fields of business, psychology, personal development, right? What are you going to read, right? First, you need to decide what books are going to benefit me in the long run, right? What do I want my life to look like? Therefore, what information should I be seeking? If you want to become a successful entrepreneur like myself, you're going to go and seek knowledge from the most successful businessmen of all time, right? So today I'll discuss a few both business and psychology books that impacted me profoundly this year. And these are the ones that I recommend. First book that I read this year, I remember this was the first book I read, was a book by Stephen Schwarzman, his autobiography called What It Takes. And in that book, I learned about a man who, came from a good background, but who worked his way, through school, going to the best schools, went to Harvard, and eventually he started his own private equity firm, Blackstone. Today it has $1 trillion in assets under management, and I think he's worth $35 billion, right? And learning his mindset, the way that he approached life, his intensity every single day. I remember reading in his book, he was like, 5 hours was the max amount of sleep I was going to get every night. And that's how he lived his life. Now, look, I don't know if I could do that personally. When I sleep 5 hours, I don't feel great. But I guess if, your life demands that you can only sleep that much, then kind of do whatever it takes, right? Going back to the title of his book, What It Takes. He did whatever it took to become the best. He was obsessed. He was obsessed constantly with getting to the next level. So I would recommend that book to start. You'll see a man document his whole life journey, and he's had longevity of success, which is something that I look for, right? There's a lot of young internet millionaires, but I don't look up to them like I look up to, the most successful people in the world who have longevity, who are older and who've been successful for 40, 50 years, right? That's what you want. You want longevity of success. You want to be successful and get more and more successful as an entrepreneur your whole life, right? You don't want to make it big when you're young and then burn out and then something happens. Okay? So that's the first one. The next book that I would recommend, and guys, this is a powerful book, so I would be careful, right? Read this book wisely. It's called Power versus Force by David Hawkins. And I don't see many people recommending this book. I found this book, I remember one mentor that I look up to recommending this book to me, but otherwise I haven't heard about it. It's not a mainstream book. And this book impacted me profoundly. I read this a little bit after my near-death experience last year when my appendix bursted. And it talked about the levels of consciousness. And it talked about near-death experience in the book and what it was saying about near-death experiences and how it elevates you on the levels of consciousness resonated so deeply with me. It was unbelievable. I was getting goosebumps when I was reading the book. I was like, this is exactly what I went through. This is unbelievable. Just understanding how to transcend the ladder of consciousness. The top of the ladder is enlightenment, right? And there's these stepping stones on the ladder as you go up the ladder. And very few people in this world have reached enlightenment. I would highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. I don't care, if you're like, oh, I don't need to read that woo-woo stuff. No, I think it's super important to understanding your mind and what point you are currently in your life and how you can climb the ladder of consciousness. Number 3, Psychocybernetics. Hands down, you have to read it. I've read it 4 times this year. 4 times. It is an unbelievable book. Again, super powerful. It will teach you how to literally visualize and manifest things into reality, right? I don't believe like that you should be manifesting things all day long, but I do believe in the power of thinking about something, and this, I'll talk about this in the next book too, but thinking about something so hard, and you want this one thing so bad, you put all your energy and attention toward that thing. You're like, I'm gonna get this thing. I want this thing. This thing is mine. And having it before you have it. In here you have it. Physically, it's not in your possession yet, but in here you have it. It's just a matter of time. Like unbelievable things have happened to me this year reading that book. It is a life-changing book, and that's the third book that you have to read. I think that's mandatory reading. Fourth, Think and Grow Rich. Guys, classic. All the successful people recommend Think and Grow Rich for a reason. Just pick it up. I usually don't like to recommend books that are super like everyone's recommending it, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm not going to recommend that on the list, even though I read that book. Think and Grow Rich is unbelievable. That's another book that you have to read multiple times. I think I've read that book 3 times this year. And every time I read it, the lessons become more ingrained in my head. Learning about people who they put so much attention to one thing. They wanted something so bad that, it consumed them, right? They thought about it so much, it consumed their mind to the point where action was just going to happen no matter what, right? Because when something consumes your mind and you don't take action, it'll keep consuming your mind until finally you snap and you say, all right, I need to go get it. I need to go get what is mine, what I deserve, right? Think and Grow Rich, unbelievably powerful book. And the 5th book that I would recommend, I got to think about this. There's 2 more that I'm thinking about right now. I'll recommend this one to you. And that is Seeking Wisdom. It took me a second to think about it. Seeking Wisdom by Peter Bevelin. It is a book that has so much unbelievable wisdom in it, guys. It's about Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, Albert Einstein, Charles Darwin, some of the greatest minds in history compiled into one book. And the way that he writes it is unbelievable. It's a bit of an expensive book, actually. It's hard to find. The way that he writes it and the way that he describes the lessons that Charlie Munger learned, right, from all the reading that he did, all the people that he sought wisdom from, and now he's passing that wisdom on to the next generation. I learned so much in that book, Seeking Wisdom. You'll learn how all the greatest minds in history had a very common way of thinking. Very common way of thinking. You might think, all these people are special in their own way. But no. They may have been special in their field, but the approach to their success was very similar, right? Einstein copied Darwin, Buffett copied Einstein, right? It's the same kind of mindset. At the end of the day, guys, I want to emphasize one thing here. Study the people who have done things that you want to do. Don't just randomly read, right? I think you should read topics that are super important, like religion and politics and philosophy and psychology. Like, these are all important. We want to be multifaceted human beings, but don't waste your time reading fiction or any nonsense. Like, read books by people who have done things that you want to do in your life, and reread those books over and over and over and over again, right? If you want to be the next Elon Musk, the next Zuckerberg, the next Steve Jobs, read books about them. Learn exactly what they did to get where they want to go. And then replicate that success in today's world. The next billionaire is not going to create a social platform. He's not going to create a search engine like Google and Facebook, right? You have to learn the lessons from them, but you can't copy them exactly. Take those lessons to heart, embody them, and then go and do your thing, right? Because success leaves clues, my friend. So those are 5 books that I would recommend. I'll make another video soon recommending 5 other books. As you can see with me recommending that 5th book, I just couldn't, it was so hard to choose. I had like 3 or 4 books popped up in my mind. So that was 5. I'll do another video soon recommending some more books. But yeah, guys, I'm super grateful for you being here. You want to join a community of young men who are winning, who are getting better every single day. Click the first link in my description. Sign up for the Discipline Institute. I'll accept you in, have you introduce yourself, and you'll be part of the community. Again, super grateful for you. I will see you guys in the next video. This is Blaze of Cyan, signing off. Bye.